provisions of working with DNA or RNA, or the techniques were not that developed that we can work with DNA and RNA. At that time, people started finding out few methods by which we can classify the organism. उस वक्त ये बनाए हुए टेक्निक्स है, ओके. बट देन यू शुड बी एबल टू कनेक्ट व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट एंजाइम्स. प्रोटीज के बारे में बात करो, लाइपेज के बारे में बात करो. सो दीज आर प्रोटीन्स. हु विल कोड फॉर दिस प्रोटीन्स? हाउ विल दिस प्रोटीन्स बी प्रिपेयर्ड or synthesized? When we are talking about enzymes and we say कि enzymes are proteins, so can you tell me how can a protein be synthesized in a cell?
By translation.
Via translation. So what will be the uh, main reference material for the process of translation?
RNA.
RNA. RNA के लिए क्या लगेगा?
DNA.
DNA.
Okay. So
DNA.
it is that indirectly we are seeing whether the organism, we are indirectly seeing the genotype of the organism, but then we are over here we are seeing it indirectly. Okay, directly DNA sequence करने का facility नहीं था, so indirect कुछ methods है like this biochemical method, but then here also we get an idea कि we get an idea about the difference in their DNA. Okay, कि whether if an organism have a gene for protease, it will be able to produce protease. Okay, so if then organism is able to produce protease, that means we can say that the organism has the gene for protease. मतलब हम लोग जीनोमिक लेवल पे भी बात कर सकते हैं, बट देन इट इज एन इनडायरेक्ट मेथड. ओके, अल्टीमेटली वी विल गो टू द जीनोमिक लेवल. So today we will be talking about another method, that is catalase. Okay, I will share my screen and just let me know if it is visible to you. Okay.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, so today we will be talking about catalase test. Okay, it is an important test when it comes to biochemical tests which are performed for the purpose of classification. But then, as we said, कि DNAs act on DNA, lipase act on lipids, protease act on proteins. Where do catalase act? Catalase, they usually act on hydrogen peroxide. Okay, catalase, they usually act on hydrogen peroxide and convert it into water and oxygen. But now the question is, where does hydrogen peroxide come from in a cell? And why do a cell need to convert this hydrogen peroxide to water and oxygen? So you might be remembering this diagram over here. What is this diagram for? This is mitochondria. This is complex 1, complex 2, complex 3. Do you remember anything?
So ETC.
So this is electron transport chain. Okay. So usually in aerobic organisms, okay, where aerobic respiration takes place, in which the molecules are oxidized, like glucose को oxidize किया जाएगा, and the electrons which are derived from glucose, they are passed through a series of electron transport chain. Okay, electron carriers, they are passed through a series of electron carriers through which we commonly know it as electron transport chain. Okay, so when these electrons they pass through this electron transport chain, some energy is there when these electrons they pass. Okay, जब ये electrons pass होते हैं, so they have certain energy which is utilized for synthesis of ATP. यहाँ पे जो ATP बन रहा है, okay, this is first used for forming a proton gradient. Then this proton gradient is utilized for synthesis of ATP. But then in this whole process, you can see that the electrons which are transferred from the series of electron acceptors, okay, so here oxygen is the ultimate final electron acceptor, which accepts the electron after the electrons are transferred through electron transport chain. And when oxygen they accept this electron, they get converted into water. Okay, and this is why an aerobic organism will need oxygen. Okay, यहाँ पे वो oxygen use होता है aerobic respiration. Okay, but sometimes what happens is when these electrons they are passed through this series to an oxygen, there should be transfer of 4 electrons, okay, to convert it into oxygen. But then sometimes what happens is there is incomplete transfer of electrons to this oxygen. Okay, proper transfer nahi hota. So instead of oxygen getting converted into water molecule, it gets converted to other forms of oxygen. Okay, which are usually reactive forms. Water is a stable form. Okay, in which will not be lethal to the cell. Whereas these other forms which are formed due to incomplete transfer of electrons to the oxygen. This example of it is superoxide radical, hydrogen peroxide, or hydroxyl radical. Okay, which hydroxyl radical is the most potent one. So these are formed because of the incomplete transfer of electrons to the oxygen. Okay, but then there are other mechanisms also in the cell which leads to these forms of oxygen. They are known as reactive oxygen species. Okay, ROS. So reactive oxygen species. So this all these three, they are classified under reactive oxygen species. Why? Because these forms of oxygen, they are very reactive, and because of their instability. Okay, reactive means they are unstable, and because they are unstable, they tend to interact, or they tend to interact with other molecules in the cell. Can you tell me what are other molecules in the cell that we see? What other type of molecules do you see in the cell? You can see biomolecules. Like, what are biomolecules?
Proteins.
Different biomolecules in the cell. Proteins, yes.
Lipids.
Yes.
Carbohydrates.
Or yes. Okay. Lipids, carbohydrates, amino acids. React with those biomolecules. And when they tend to react with those biomolecules, their structure, they have some effect on them. Okay. So those protein structures are being affected, or the lipid structures are being affected. So उनका structure जब affect होगा, so they are not able to perform their work properly. Okay. Because of which, under such conditions, the cell will even undergo apoptosis. I hope you are aware of what is apoptosis. Okay. Apoptosis is, what is apoptosis?
Programmed cell death.
Yes, apoptosis is programmed cell death. So now, because of this reactive oxygen species, the cell will have to undergo death. Okay, the cell will undergo lysis, wherein it will destroy itself, or it will kill itself. So these reactive oxygen species are very harmful. Okay, even in eukaryotic cells, it is being studied that one of the major reason for aging of cells is basically reactive oxygen species. One of the important reason is electron transport chain, but then there are other metabolic pathways or other metabolic mechanisms which also contribute to this electron trans which also contribute to this ROS. Okay, that is reactive oxygen species. Okay, so now, as we are saying कि organisms, they will have electron transport chain. अगर reactive oxygen species बन रहा है, तो कोई organism electron transport chain रोक सकता है क्या? तो नहीं रोक सकता. Okay, if an organism stops its electron transport chain, तो ultimately क्या होगा कि ATP नहीं बनेंगे, so that cell will die. Okay, अगर ROS बन रहे हैं, तो cell will need certain mechanism which will remove this reactive oxygen species from the cell. Okay, and one of the mechanism is by synthesizing an enzyme catalase, which will react on this molecule hydrogen peroxide, convert it into water and oxygen. Okay, so in this biochemical test, we will see whether our organism can prepare catalase or not. Is it clear till now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so can you tell me what this image says? These are different classes of organisms based on their ability to interact, or based on their ability to grow, or based on their interaction with the oxygen. Okay, the first one is obligate aerobe, then the second one is facultative anaerobe, then the third one is Third one is aero-tolerant anaerobe. The fourth one is strict anaerobe and micro-aerophile. So can you tell me what can you comment on obligate anaerobe? Will it need oxygen or not? Obligate aerobe, will he need oxygen or not?
Yes, sir. They will need.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, so they will need oxygen, wherein oxygen will work as an terminal electron acceptor in electron transport chain. Okay, so over there, oxygen is very essential. What about facultative anaerobe? When we say about facultative anaerobe, they grow better in oxygen, but there is no essential कि oxygen होना ही चाहिए. Then when oxygen is being supplied, as you can see over here, in presence of oxygen, they grow better, but they can grow even in the absence of oxygen. Okay. Whereas when we talk about aerotolerant anaerobe, so they grow well in under both conditions. Okay, even in the presence of oxygen or even in the absence of oxygen. So oxygen will have no such effect on them, as we can see over here in the case of facultative anaerobe. Okay, so the fourth one is strict anaerobe. What can you tell about strict anaerobe?
They do not need
For them,
oxygen.
okay, for them the oxygen is toxic. It is not that they do not need oxygen, but then oxygen will be toxic for them. Okay, कि अगर they you will not get to see strict anaerobe in presence of oxygen. अगर oxygen होगा, so it will be harmful for strict anaerobe. Can you think of a reason कि why oxygen will be toxic to strict anaerobe? One of the reason key, they will not have the enzyme break the toxic forms of oxygen. Okay, reactive oxygen species, if they are around, they will not have the enzymes to break down that reactive oxygen species. Okay, that is one of the reason. And about microaerophile, can you tell me anything about microaerophile?
require
They
oxygen
can
in a
grow
very little amount.
in a specific amount. Okay, around 2 to 10% of oxygen. अगर ज्यादा होगा, they don't grow under the level of oxygen which is in the atmosphere. At that condition, it is toxic for them. Then they need in a very small where concentration should be around 2 to 10. Okay, this was about interaction with the oxygen. But then when we
Sir,
talk
your
about
voice
Sir,
is
your
interaction with the
breaking.
oxygen, okay, now hello.
Sir, it's still breaking.
Niranjan, it's breaking a lot. Maybe you will have to try to rejoin.
Okay, I will. I guess I will rejoin them.
Sir,
Yeah.
now it's fine.
Okay. Uh, I think I
Yeah,
will rejoin.
now it's clear, but it's
Is it
better
clear
that
now?
you rejoin once.
Okay, okay. I will
Yeah.
disconnect and rejoin. Okay. Hello. Is it clear now? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'll share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we were talking about the oxygen toxicity. Okay. Ki how oxygen can be toxic to the cell. So as I said, ki there are different forms of reactive oxygen species which are formed, which we saw over here. Okay. Superoxide radical, the hydrogen peroxide, and hydroxyl radical. Okay. So these are the reactive oxygen species which are formed. So organisms, they have been evolved or they have developed such enzymes which can work on this reactive oxygen species. Okay. So ultimately, cells will have to cells will need some kind of mechanism to overcome this harm. Okay. If cells they do not control this reactive oxygen species, what will happen is the level of reactive oxygen species will increase, ROS will increase, and ultimately the cell will undergo apoptosis. So the cell will need to develop few mechanisms, okay, or it has been seen in different organisms. The cell, the different organisms, they have been evolved few enzymes which can work on this reactive oxygen species ROS and convert it into a simple or a non-toxic form. Okay, so those enzymes are superoxide dismutase, which is also known as SOD. Okay, as you can see over here, SOD. This is superoxide dismutase. Then catalase, which acts on hydrogen peroxide and convert it into water and oxygen. Okay, the third one is peroxidase, which acts on hydrogen peroxide again and it converts into water. Okay. So these are the enzymes which are seen in set of organisms which react on or which acts on this reactive oxygen species and convert it into an stable form or a non-toxic form. Okay. I hope you have noted down all these enzymes and the different types of reactive oxygen species. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Another thing you can see over here, key this superoxide dismutase, it acts on this free radical over here and converts it into hydrogen peroxide. So this organism which is converting this reactive oxygen to hydrogen peroxide, this will need catalase also to convert this hydrogen peroxide to water and oxygen. Okay. So this organism will need a superoxide dismutase and catalase along with each other. And over here, peroxidase also works on hydrogen peroxide to convert it into water. Okay. So over here in this chart, you can see कि the obligate aerobes, for them, they are using oxygen as an terminal electron acceptor. So there are a lot of chances कि the reactive oxygen species will be produced. Okay. So in that case, they contain both SOD and catalase. Okay, so this will convert the reactive oxygen species to hydrogen peroxide, and then catalase will work on that hydrogen peroxide to convert it into water and oxygen. Okay, similar is the case which is seen in facultative anaerobe, but then the concentration or the affinity, the reactivity of these enzymes will be low as compared to obligate anaerobe. Okay, whereas in strict anaerobe, you can see that they lack these enzymes. Okay, one of the reason that they are strict anaerobe is basically they lack this enzyme or they do not synthesize this enzyme. So basically, if they are exposed to oxygen levels, what will happen is those reactive oxygen, it will not have any mechanism to overcome that reactive oxygen species. As they are not able to overcome that reactive oxygen species, ultimately they will be killed. Okay, and that is what we say ki they are toxic. Is it clear to all of you? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Role of
Yes, sir.
catalase,
Yes,
why
sir.
catalase is being synthesized, how it takes care of the reactive oxygen species. Okay. So now to perform this test, okay, to perform the catalase test, the basic procedure will be we will take a drop of hydrogen peroxide, okay, and then we will take a little growth from the agar medium, okay, to take the colony from agar medium, put it on hydrogen peroxide. If if our organism can produce catalase, in that case, oxygen will be produced, and you can get to see an instant effervescence. Okay, we'll see how this experiment is being performed. We'll show it live to you, okay, from our laboratory, and you can see how the experiment is being carried out. Okay, but then this is the basic procedure, and this is how you can do. Take the growth of the plate, okay, through loop. Take a cover slide, a cavity slide, okay. Take a cavity slide. You can place a drop of hydrogen peroxide on it, and then place the growth colony on it, okay, using a loop. If if your organism is able to produce like catalase, at that time you will get to see such bubbles. Okay, if it is not producing catalase, you will not get to see any bubbles. If bubbles are not seen or effervescence, that means it is catalase negative. If it is producing catalase, if you are getting to see those bubbles, that means your organism is able to produce catalase. Okay, and on that basis you can classify whether your organism can produce catalase or not. And then ultimately, using all these biochemical tests, gram staining, different stainings, you can refer to Burgess manual. Okay, all these biochemical tests, and then you can use it for the classification of your organism. Talking about requirements, you will need an 18-hour-old culture, then clean slide, and an hydrogen peroxide. Okay, hydrogen peroxide, you will place it on your slide, and then you will place the colony on it or a growth on it. This will be the set of requirements. Is it clear to all of you? Do you have any doubts?
Yes.
Do you have any doubts?
No doubt, sir.
No, sir.
Oh, okay. So I think
Sir,
Sachin, yes.
sir, can you tell the concentration required for microaerophile?
For of what about the oxygen concentration?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
2 to 10% usually.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Sachin, I will stop sharing my screen.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And now we will go live to our laboratory, and Sachin sir will demonstrate you how the catalyst test is performed.
Okay, so I think the table is visible to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Sachin, you will have to shift your camera a little bit on the left
No,
hand
no,
side.
I will do that. I'm
Okay.
just asking if the screen is visible to all of them.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Yes,
So
sir.
the first thing that I want all of you to note is this is the H2O2 commercial bottle that you get, which you will have to dilute to the requirement of concentration that you have. And then you can go ahead with your test. So what I am going to do is I have already taken a drop of H2O2 onto the slide. So I'm just going to demonstrate the entire process to you. Okay. So let me just take a loop full of culture first, and then I'll shift the camera for you to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take two cultures, one which I know that is a positive catalase, organism, and one which is negative. So I'm going to begin with S. aureus, okay, because S. aureus is known to be catalase positive. Ideally, when you want to perform a catalase test, you are expected to pass the culture on a nutrient agar plate so that you get a well isolated colony. But now, as I have a pure culture ready, I am going to take it directly from the slant and we will see what happens. So just give me a minute. Okay. Is the slide visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So I have taken a loopful of the culture and I'm going to place the loopful onto the drop here. And you saw what happened?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
The
sir.
moment the culture came in contact, did you see the kind of effervescence that was generated?
Yes,
So
sir.
what will
Yes.
you conclude from this?
S aureus is catalase positive.
It is indeed catalase positive, right? Okay, so similarly, let us see for another organism, which is Streptococcus pyogenes. So I'm going to take a loop full of Streptococcus pyogenes, and then we will come back and see what happens. Okay, so just give me a minute to sterilize the loop, take the culture, and then we will see what happens. Okay, so I have taken loop full of S pyogenes, and I'm going to place it on the drop. So you can see nothing happened. Did you see? I mixed the loop, nothing happened as compared to what was seen in S aureus. In S aureus, it was instantaneous, and still you can see it is bubbling. Can you see that? But in case of S pyogene, there is no reaction taking place at all. So what will you conclude? S aureus is catalase positive, while S pyogenes is catalase.
Negative.
Negative.
Is it clear to all of you?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Now,
sir.
some people may do it slightly differently, wherein what they would do is they would take a loop full of the culture and they will put it on the slide, and on that they would add a drop of H2O2. That is also completely fine. Whatever suits you the best. You take a drop of H2O2 and add the culture, or you take the culture on the slide and then add a drop of H2O2. Both works the best. Okay, it is completely fine. But please take care that H2O2 shouldn't come in contact with your bare skin. It's not good for your health. So see to it that you don't drop H2O2 on your body. Is that very clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So I had told you that I had passed the tomato, the spoiled tomato on different media. So to begin with, this is nutrient agar. There are very weird looking colonies on it. If you can see the plate, extremely weird to be frank enough, because it has a completely different morphology. If you see those yellow colored colonies, they have a very different morphology. I can also see some fungal colonies growing out there. But this yellow colored ones are having a very different colony characteristic if you see. Okay, so they are looking quite different. Similarly, also on the Saboret's agar plate, I can see fungus growing there. Okay, so it has been around 48 hours now. So we can see small fungal colonies growing there. While on Mekong Keys, there is not much growth. Whatever growth is there is in the inoculum zone, and it has not come down. Okay, so whatever you see in the inoculum zone also, very few are pink colored colonies, but you can see majority are yellow colored colonies. So it shows presence of both lactose fermenters as well as non-fermenters. But below we have not got much growth as such. Okay, so I will shortly click pictures of this and I will send it to you so that you will have a close look of these colonies. So I will do that. I will click pictures and send it out to you, and you can have a look and try to analyze the colony characteristic. Maybe you may not be able to analyze everything, but at least the shape, margin, these things can be noted down. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anything that you want to ask before we move ahead? Anything that you want to know, you want to ask, you can, feel free to ask us.
Commercial use of catalyst.
Very good question. So let me tell you that I don't know if you guys remember, but when we had discussed about effect of oxygen last year in first year syllabi, when you had discussed about microaerophile, aerophile, obligate aerobes, anaerobes, facultative anaerobes. Do you remember we had discussed this aspect, catalase, peroxidase, and superoxide dismutase? And we also did ELISA, if you remember, in the second semester, wherein I told you that peroxidase has a lot of significance when you talk about ELISA because it is one of the enzymes for color-based detection, for chromogenic detection. Okay, so catalase per se may not have a lot of significance, but peroxidase as an enzyme has a lot of commercial significance. Unfortunately, the peroxidase that has been utilized in ELISA is horseradish peroxidase, which comes from plants. Okay, people have also been looking for substitutes because horseradish peroxidase is comparatively expensive. So people have been looking for peroxidase in other sources, including other plants like soybean, even potato, because all these are rich sources of peroxidase. But there have been a lot of researchers who have been trying to look, come up with microorganisms as a source of peroxidase because that would be much cheaper and comparatively faster. Okay, so people have been working in that area also, wherein bacterial peroxidases could be produced on a large scale and be utilized as an enzyme for these chromogenic tests like ELISA. So per se for catalase, I have not heard any commercial application, but for peroxidase, there is surely a commercial significance. So that is in terms of chromogenic reactions, so that you could detect something on the basis of the color that is generated. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
Sir, that effervescence is due to oxygen, na? If I'm not wrong.
Yes, yes. So when it is broken down, when H2O2 is being converted to oxygen, that's the bubbles that you see there.
Yes, sir.
I didn't get you. You kept it open in air. What does that mean? It was not kept. See, first of all, you should not keep H2O2 open for long. So just before I switched on the video, I had taken a drop of it. So there is no question of, and you have to understand that you have to have significant number of cells, right? Don't you think so? You need to have significant number of cells to see this kind of an effervescence. Anything else? Okay. Niranjan, you want to continue with the conclusion part?
Uh, I think they can write down the result and conclusions afterward. So you can
Okay.
continue.
Okay. So students, should we start right away or do you want me to give you a break? Because if we start, we will take at least minimum 45 minutes. Minimum. So what do you want me to do? You want me to give you a break?
In better way, you do the break for 5 minutes, no?
Yes, yes. So
Yeah,
we will
yeah.
take a 5-10 minutes break and maybe we can start. I will clear up the lab also by then. So
Yeah,
exactly at 3:35, is it okay if we start?
yeah, yeah. It's okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.